Welcome back to Good Morning Sri Lanka. It is a Monday and we are in the midst of our discussion about the drought and what we can do, and of course a very interesting concept of rainwater harvesting, which is not a new concept, but we need to push it further. Yep. And we have with us inside the studio Mr. Hetirachi, of course, and Ms. Ariyananda. Hello. And we were talking about rainwater harvesting, the implementation of how do you call it, a law, an ordinance, resolution? Regulation. So, in a nutshell, how can it be given to people? How can it be implemented? You said about construction.
Yeah, it is during when you are applying for planning, getting building approval, then it has to be put in, and then only houses with this plan, rainwater system plan, will get approval to build.
Oh.
Yeah. You mentioned, sir, previously the cost of electricity might increase. This is because you have to pump the rainwater, is it?
No, not really, because that when we are recycling water, you have to purify it.
I see.
So it is wastewater converted to some kind of, in Singapore they call it new water, right? It's used for industrial and other purposes. So to do that, you have to do the purification. That process needs literally electricity.
I see.
So we have one case in Panapitia. One of the Panapitia nursing home, they have installed, and it's working very well.
I think for Colombo, mainly, I mean, we don't have a problem at the moment, but see, we find the rural areas, the less developed area, if you may call them, suffering. So I think maybe we can, suffer a little bit of cost here for the national interest.
That is true. And because sadly, like what you mentioned, because we're so surrounded with water, we don't really get to see the problem, and we see the pictures on the paper, and we somehow still, no, this is not happening. But it is happening, folks, so things need to be done. And before we run out of time, if there's something that you'd like our viewers to know?
Yeah, I mean, rainwater harvesting is a cost saving also, because you can reduce the water bills by if you use supplement your supply with water, and it's cost savings to the nation as well, because I'm sure there is a big cost for the water boat transport water all the way from Kala to our so it will overall will be
if you could mention your website again, ma'am, before
www.lankarainwater.org.
Right. And Mr. Hetirachi,
well, I think if you think about water, the cost of water production now is about 42 rupees a meter cube, whereas our average selling price is 19 rupees. So that's a subsidized sector of the society. Those who are consuming less than 15 units per day per month. And so what we do is we cross-subsidize from the industrial and high consumption users. So our advice is to, conserve water, and as much as we support the rainwater harvesting forum and with many other initiatives like that. So also to think about other sources, use of groundwater. Our Sri Lankan tradition is we had two wells, one for bathing, one for drinking in the past. Maybe in the Philippines also you would have had the same thing. But now people have abandoned these, important alternative sources. So people need to think about alternative sources, because our target is to cover about 60% of the population by 2020. So we are at that target and we are working towards that. So 40% of the population will not get pipe-borne water. So they need to go for other sources like this, because the way that our country located, the population is dispersed, so we may not be able to draw lines to such a distance, right? So therefore others ways of groundwater and rainwater harvesting and so forth, and the dug wells need to be taken care of. And we are very good, Sri Lanka's position in the Southeast Asia. We have the best indicators with respect to safe drinking water and adequate sanitation. We are over 80%. And by 2025 we are reaching Millennium Development Goals, and I think we are reaching before that. So our message is to conserve water, and the way that everybody could, even one single drop per day can cost hell of a lot of money, and every second one drop means 1 milliliter. So 3,600, that is 3.6 liters per hour. So multiplied by 24, multiplied by 30, that's a lot of
a lot
quantity, a lot of water.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So minimize leakages, use this water for drinking and cooking process, particularly during this period.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Hettiarachchi and Dr. Aryanandan for sharing your insights.
Yes.
Indeed, a great problem which we can actually solve.
Yes.
There's a connector. There's a solution. We can get there. So,
Yes.
Ryan, before we wrap up,
Before we wrap up, I think we have a very interesting story on what Stephen Hawking said. He lost a $100 bet, and that is, I think, the discovery of the God particle. And I know there's a more scientific name to it, but I'm just going to call it the God particle.
lead the physics out.
Yes, leave the physics to the physicists, and this is what we're going to end it with. Have a great Monday, everyone. We'll see you guys tomorrow.